because a long time ago, you know, Adam Wingard, Simon Barrett, they're all people nobody ever heard of and stuff. Their movies were just barely going to make it into theaters and stuff. So that's why I kind of want to take it back to that way instead of bringing a director that we already know of and stuff too.
Want to tell me what's on this?
Is that beta?
Yep.
Nice.
What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here, and you're watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
Mine is Blaze.
And it's spooky season. Shudder just released another VHS movie. This week, we're talking VHS 85.
Is it ironic that every VHS movie has been available for streaming and only recently they became available on VHS? Well, anyways, unveiled through a made-for-TV documentary, 5 chilling tales of found footage horror emerge to take viewers on a gore-filled journey through the grim underbelly of the forgotten 1980s. So this is the 6th film in the franchise, VHS 85. A lot kind of the tropes we expect from these movies occur. I think our last 2 reviews have been relatively sour. James, how'd you feel about VHS 85?
Well, you say the last 2 have been sour. I enjoyed 94. I think that's one of the better ones of the franchise. 95 last year was, last year was called 99. And this is what's driving me crazy. They're not going in a proper order. Like, why did we go from 94 to 99? Because it was VHS, VHS 2, VHS Viral, but that's the 3rd one. Then VHS 94, that made sense because of the 4th one. Then 99 is the 5th one. I'm going to think 85 is the 5th one because it ends with a 5. But no, 85 is the 6th one. And there's no point over this movie really taking place in 85 because really only one of them takes place in 85. But speak for yourself. You didn't like the last 2. I thought 99 was enjoyable for the most part, but overall pretty forgettable. And this one, again, there's some memorable stuff. There's a lot I like about this one, but I'm in the boat finally where you were last year. And I assume it's just like kind of being like a nail in the coffin for you with this round. What are your thoughts on it?
So I want to preface this because I even thought about this last time. I remember you weren't negative on the last film, but I have to go to bat to say you saw that film in theaters with a packed sold out crowd. So you literally have such a biased take on that film. This, you actually got the full VHS treatment, watching it at home, probably alone. I mean, I don't know if you were or not, but just most likely you probably watched this by yourself, which made it worse than it would have been if you watched it, you know, in a crowded packed theater. I think that's the only reason you think. I don't even remember. 99, is that the last one?
Yes.
You can tell me 1,000 times and I'll probably forget. But yeah, I think that's the only reason you actually like 99. But if you got that VHS treatment and you watched it not at a theater that's packed, because literally you were in the 1% of people that could watch that in a packed theater because that movie was not released in theaters. So it's just the majority of people aren't going to watch it that way. You literally got the best way you could possibly watch any movie, let alone a VHS film that would never open in theaters. So let me just get that off the table. But yeah, anyways, this one, not 85. I think it's okay. There's only like one I like, to be honest. And I think the one that I liked is going to surprise you. But also at the same time, I think the one that I enjoyed the most in this really like solved why I think the VHS movies are all like getting progressively worse and worse. And what maybe the original films that were more of a novelty that we liked, the first and the second one, the third one, give or take. I actually liked the third one because I had that same experience you did. I watched it in a packed, sold out Beyond Fest screening, and you watched it at home and you hated that movie. So that's how I got the inference that, you know, that's why you like 99 and I don't like 99. It's just, it didn't play at home. It just doesn't work well, kind of like this film 85. But yeah, that's at least my thoughts on it. I'll get into a little bit after hearing what you thought about the movie.
So overall, like, you know, I kind of aired that, like, I'm getting over this franchise, but I am gladly looking forward to the next one. It's cool that they brought back David Bruckner for this movie. He started out with the original one. I think he directed the segment with the succubus, I'm pretty sure, in the very first VHS movie. And then also brought in a bigger director, Scott Derrickson. I think his wife or girlfriend did one for the last movie, and now he came back for this one. He's never been a part of the franchise, but that's cool and stuff. But overall, I think we're missing the whole point over the franchise, because the whole point is to kind of let young filmmakers get, you know, their chance. And they did do that with some of the directors within this movie. There's 2 directors I was unfamiliar with their work, and they did a movie within this. And then there's also Mike P. Nelson, who did the Wrong Turn remake that we saw a couple of years ago. But I think it's time to just like have contests, let fans make these movies and see what is the best and what will work best within this movie and stuff too. Let a new voice come out for these movies. And, you know, that kind of goes against, like, because a long time ago, you know, Adam Wingard, Simon Barrett, they were all people nobody ever heard of and stuff. Their movies were just barely going to make it into theaters and stuff. So that's why I kind of want to take it back to that way instead of bringing a director that we already know of and stuff too. Because everyone kind of swings too hard for the fences with these. One of the first things we learn in not even college film school, we learned this in high school film school. In your shorts, KISS, what does that stand for, Blaze?
Kiss.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid. And there's some cool premises within this movie, but then it just gets so ridiculous. The earthquake one, I'd love to see aftermath of a crazy earthquake and stuff. We've gotten a movie like Aftershock, the Eli Roth movie and stuff too, but then it goes into crazy Aztec god stuff. Or Mayan gods. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but, you know, just like, I was just like, this is just too ridiculous. Same thing with Mike P. Nelson's. I really like the idea of just like a psycho active shooter just killing people on vacation. And then no, it turns into just like this weird eternal youth lake that they swam in. And then it was interesting, caught me off guard coming back to it halfway into the movie with the second half of the story, but it still just wasn't even good enough to justify it too. It's just like, keep it simple. You have an interesting premise already from the get-go, and then like, why do you have to get weird? Like, you could have went in so many different directions. And it's weird, the one I enjoyed the most, I didn't even care for it still that much, but the best one I thought was Scott Derrickson's one, who he's been iffy on me. The only movie I really like by Scott Derrickson is really just The Black Phone. But I feel like I'm ranting too much though. I want to give you a shot, but I have a lot of like negatives to say, and it's just like, I love this franchise, and I just feel like this one is just a huge step back and like compared to the others. Yeah,
I won't say that this is a step forward. Maybe I'm just jaded on the whole franchise at this point, but I didn't feel like this was the worst iteration. I think one of the last 2 movies was far worse than this one. But at the end of the day, this film runtime was around 2 hours, so I felt like that's at least something the filmmakers should have gifted us, was a shorter film. Like, I know everyone's making their own short, but I felt like a lot of these were just way too long. Like you said, they weren't simple, simplistic. They weren't really trying to be shorts. They were trying to be like a compressed feature film that's part of a feature film, so it just made the whole experience just elongated and almost unnecessary at times. But my favorite short, I disagree with what you said, but my favorite short actually was Mike P. Nelson's No Wake. I thought that at first watching it, dude, I was actually very horrified and like I actually really hated it with all the whole active shooter bit. I'm like, dude, I can't like just turn off the news and turn off, you know, my phone alerts and stuff. I have to actually see this in a movie. This is super upsetting. But the ending of that movie, or of that short, really surprised me, and that's kind of what I liked. I was like, oh, I like how this ends on literally a cliffhanger. It almost feels like a calling card of like, oh, I'd like to actually see that style movie where, you know, it's this revenge movie, but it's a different take on a revenge story. It's not your I spit on your grave or something of that ilk. So I actually really enjoyed that, and I thought that reminded me of how in the first VHS, I forget what the original title is for literally the first short of every VHS movie was the Banshee one. It was like, or was it called Siren? I know that's what the feature film ended up being called.
That's the feature one. I don't remember the title of the short film, but that's David Bruckner's film in that first VHS movie.
Yeah, and I thought that this reminded me in the same sense where after I saw that, and it just kind of ends on a similar cliffhanger almost, I guess, in a way of like, oh, what's going to happen next? That's what you leave the viewer. It's like, oh, shoot, what's going to happen next? Where those are the VHS stories I like. All the ones that just wrap it up nice in a bow. It's like, okay, like, what's the point? Like a short film, I really want to, inspire my imagination or make me think like, oh wow, what's really going to happen next in the next minute of the film, even though it's already ended, but most of them just kind of wrap everything up neatly and just don't really leave anything for your imagination, which I feel like is the strength of having a short film versus a feature. Like we have feature films for, the resolution, everything after the climax. But when it comes to a short, the whole thing should almost just be a climax with no resolution.
Right, yeah, and also have some callbacks too, set things up, because a lot of these I just felt like we're just scene after scene of just like, this event happens, then we need to escalate it to a bigger event, then escalate it to a bigger event. When you're kind of taught, I remember being taught that you should kind of have like some sort of twist to make you like care and leave a lasting impression. Yeah, I do like that segment of Mike P. Nelson's part. Like I did like that it continued this story. I just felt like I was just like, okay, like, was this just like a short so that way he can make a feature length out of it someday or something? Which I wouldn't mind seeing though, like, because it is an interesting concept, but just like, I'm just like, what happened to just having callbacks and setups to end your short film with? Because like, example with the God of Death was the name of that one, and I did enjoy TK No God, I think the acronyms are for that one. It's called TKNOGD. Not sure what that spells out or whatever, but I'm guessing TK No God or something. But yeah, it's just like, it just felt like a series of events happening to where it's just like escalating. It's just like, you got to like set something up and have it come back. Cause even like my least favorite segment, Adam Wingard's who I love as a director, his and VHS 2 at least started out and like, you knew what was happening. Cause it was like going back to callbacks from the beginning of the short, and just, yeah, it's very sloppy filmmaking. It feels like these filmmakers like, oh, I have a budget and, I have a very small budget, so let me go big with it for a short film, instead of just like, no, like, still treat it like a feature length movie, but you just got to be a little bit more creative with it. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to coach a director how to do that, but it's just disappointing when these are like more pros, and I expected more out of David Bruckner, I guess, but just like, yeah.
I actually didn't mind David Bruckner's. I actually enjoyed his. I think it didn't help having it split up amongst the whole movie, obviously, but or maybe it did, honestly. Maybe it would have been worse if we would just watch the whole thing front to back. I'm not really sure. But one thing I think that the VHS series in general and the franchise is lost is almost that novelty of what if you found this VHS tape and everything, the way that it played back was, as everything on it. And that was another thing I liked about Noik was it goes back to it later on in the VHS, in the movie, but like, it doesn't finish it. It just shows you like literally one more clip, like later on in the movie. And I imagine that's because somebody had recorded over the tape, because the film ends with them being like, let me look at what it was. And as you know, if you ever look at a VHS tape or something that you're filming on, when you go back to recording, it's not going to record the same thing, or something else will pop up that was previously recorded on the tape. And I think that that's something that the first couple films leverage pretty well. I think the first two films, they leverage that element with the wraparound short, of course. This kind of does that as well, but it just felt like that might be something going forward if we're going to continue with this franchise, going to continue making these movies. And obviously the budget's probably shrinking a little bit, even though the budgets for each short seem to somehow be getting larger in a way. I think maybe the filmmakers are dumping more money into it, but the actual like budget for the film probably is just shrinking because it's only going straight to streaming. It's not playing in festivals and stuff like that, or theaters. So I just feel like maybe trying to leverage what the franchise originally was for, as opposed to trying to like make a new VHS, like let's just make a VHS movie and everyone comes up with their fun ideas that they had for a short film or something.
Right. Yeah, that was, I think, the last point I wanted to make too, on just like how disappointed I kind of am, just because every one that's been out on Shudder, 94 was the first one that Shudder put out, and that was the first one where it's like, let's make it as if each movie is from that year. And, you know, it worked okay for that movie. 99, I think there was only one movie that actually utilized the whole Y2K thing. It could have took place in any year for the most part, but I miss the aspect of like, these tapes are like haunted, like snuff films, basically. Like someone is filming stuff with GoPros or security footage and putting it on a secret VHS tape, and you're trading around. That was the whole gimmick of like the first three movies, basically. It just felt very haunted and eerie and gross, because who watches VHS tapes and why do these exist? So that made it creepy. And it's fine to have like go back to where VHS started when they were being used, like 85, 95, 99, like these Shudder movies. But it just doesn't feel like it's like, I guess, more authentic, but it just, like you said, just it's missing the roots. And I liked that cursed aspect of the originals, I guess you could say, because even though they're shot in GoPros, and even there's times where you can see it's a GoPro, it just like is haunting, because who the hell puts GoPro footage on a VHS tape? And that's just cool, and I thought that was awesome, and let's bring it back. Let's go back to the roots with those.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, they have fun in kind of inventive ways with this one. I mean, the short in Mexico almost felt like a wreck kind of style, where it was someone, actually a news crew shot it, and they're even complaining about their equipment at times, which I thought was funny. But yeah, overall, like I think there's some elements, especially with security cameras and stuff, but it does feel like this series has kind of lost its roots and where they, you know, came from, like where they need to go in the future, especially with every iteration, you know, henceforth. Yeah, so, you know, overall, like, it's a fun Halloween watch and stuff, especially if you love this franchise. If this is the first one you're gonna watch, I don't know if it's gonna win you over and make you want to watch the rest. Yeah, like, you know, I feel like this series can easily get better with the, like, and, you know, there's obviously going to be some duds. So, you know, check it out. It's on Shudder. Let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments down below. Great way to help support it also is by renting it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our own personal letterbox accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.